What is going on, everybody? It's the Francis Moira for AEW on TBS Review for October the 26th, 2022, on the way to Full Gear. Pentagon Jr. gets a title match because reasons. Jamie Hayter takes on Riho after what happened last week. Bryan Danielson vs. Sammy Guevara, Wheeler Yuta, and Claudio Castagnoli versus Chris Jericho and Daniel Garcia. And I believe that was all the matches for today. And we see, and FTR versus Swerve and Our Glory for the number one contendership for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. And so much more. We also hear from MJF and what is going on with him in the firm. Also, we got a couple matches announced for Rampage on Friday and next week as well. So we started, but before we get to any of this, yesterday, Swerve City podcast dropped apparently with the shittiest woman in AEW, the shit faker herself. This woman, she had a pod. She went out there. They talked about a whole slew of things. Trying to get my words right. The stuff that stuck out the most was when they brought up Thunder Rosa. They brought up toxicity in the locker room. They brought up how much compared she is to Charbot 9000. How she hates that dehumanizes them, and it's like, bitch, you are the Charbot 9000 of AEW. The only difference is Charbot can have a good match when she wants to. You can't have a good match at all. The fact that she went on here and said she hates the toxicity in the locker room, but yet you come on here, you bury Thunder Rosa, you bury every single woman out there, man or woman, who are out there injured right now, who can't come to work because of said injury. Oh, I've been to work. I haven't missed a TV day because of an injury. I broke my nose. I broke my ankle. I broke my leg. I broke my arm. Bitch, you're a fucking heel. You can do that stuff. You can go out there. You can sit there on a cart and talk shit over and over and over again and try to elicit heel heat, even though you do a terrible job at it. You can't have somebody like Thunder Rosa who has a back injury. Yes, people are like, oh, well, Dalton Castle wrestled with a back brace. Yes, but he also has a back injury. And he has his back to probably the best it's going to be for him to wrestle. Thunder Rosa is trying to make sure that she doesn't have to wear a back brace while she wrestles. Because honestly, it's not a really good look, and I'm sure it causes Dalton Castle a lot of pain, and nobody should have to go through that. So the fact that this woman can go out there in a time when AEW has had backstage fight after backstage fight, drama, and people just going off on their own, going into business for themselves. This stupid cunt-ass bitch goes onto a podcast, and a co-worker's podcast, and decides she's going to continue to bury other women. Why can't Ruby Soho be there? She broke her nose because she's a fucking babyface. Why the hell would you have a babyface go out there and try to work? Also, she has a neck injury because of that last match she had. But she comes off as somebody who doesn't give a shit about this company. She only cares about herself. And honestly, Tony Khan, I don't give a shit who your favorite is. You need to cut this fat out of your company. So a little bit of the toxicity that you have in your company is gone. It's absolutely ridiculous that this woman goes out there, and you have women like a Toni Storm, like a Thunder Rosa, Ruby Soho most likely too, who go out there and then people are like, oh, well, why is she getting so much hate? But MJF goes on national television and says, your father's burning in hell, blah, blah. It's like, it's not even close to the same thing. He goes out there to elicit a heel reaction and get his opponent over by getting them pissed off so much that fans want to see babyface beat MJF's ass. This woman is on a podcast for no reason whatsoever, going out there trying to flaunt her injury record and say, oh, well, I've had this list of injuries. And I've been at work every time. Why haven't any of these women? If I'm not mistaken, you can sit there and flaunt that shit all you want, But the night you lost that championship, the very next month, you decided to take off because, oh, it's a conspiracy against me and I won't be back on TV until we get the Schittsburg. Save it. You're a condescending, evil, maniacal fucking bitch who needs to be fired or needs to be suspended, and Tony Khan needs to stop letting his employees walk all over him and say shit like this to make the conversation in the locker room much, much worse. You want a united front, and a bitch like this going on a podcast of somebody else who works for you saying shit like this for absolutely no fucking reason is not helping anything. If that was me, she's suspended for a month without pay. You come back and you start doing this shit again, suspended for 2 months. You do it again, your ass is fired. I ain't putting up with that shit. Tony Khan needs to stop trying to be a buddy and start being a fucking boss. Because we're seeing this happen over and over and over again. And fans are getting fucking tired of it. All we want to hear and see is what the show we got tonight and how good it was. But yet we have people talking about how shitty of a person this piece of shit is. She doesn't ever praise anybody. She only cares about herself. She just sits there and thinks she's the be-all, end-all. And it's like, shut the fuck up, get your fucking shit, and go. Go be a dentist, go be Adam Cole's girlfriend, and shut the fuck up because you're not helping the goddamn business, you're only hurting it. I'm sick and tired of this woman just poisoning the TV. Get her off my television and just get her out of the fucking company because you have women like Toni Storm, like Hikaru Shida, like Thunder Rosa when she's there, like Ruby Soho when she's there, when she's not injured. Riho. Jamie Hayter is one of the most over women in the company right now that is being held down by 2 useless weights. As soon as she's able to be allowed to break away from those 2 useless weights, she could be the biggest star, women's star in your company. Tony, cut the fucking bait, cut the fucking crap, cut the fucking cancer, and get it out of here. You're already dealing with the whole thing with CM Punk and them, but yet you're going to suspend them and all that shit, but you're going to let this woman walk all over you. Enough. Just enough. Let's get into the show here. Chris Jericho and Daniel Garcia versus Wheeler Yuta and Claudio Castagnoli starts the show. This was a very fun match. What do you expect with these 4 guys? They're great out there. Of course, William Regal on commentary flirting with Excalibur, as he does every single week. But this was great. Now, obviously, Jericho is on his crusade to desecrate the name of Ring of Honor and take it and bury it 6 feet under and piss all over the grave of Ring of Honor. What does this lead to? How do we get the final battle? And when does Jericho lose the championship? And who to? I do not know. All I know is the sooner we get, when we look back at the year 2022 for All Elite Wrestling, you're going to know a few things. One, if CM Punk doesn't return next year, which is the earliest he'd be able to return, the self-destruction of CM Punk because he let rumors and lies get to him so much so that he ruined his comeback tour with AEW. You're going to have the year of Jon Moxley, and that AEW was ruined by the most part by Ring of Honor. Too much Ring of Honor on television. Hell, the month leading up to Death Before Dishonor, we saw nothing but Ring of Honor on television. You could have changed AEW to Ring of Honor for that entire month because it was all about Ring of Honor and everything else was just thrown to the wayside for AEW. And I have a feeling the Wednesday after Full Gear, it's going to be the same thing. Because if I am not mistaken, we have Full Gear is on the 5th? The 5th of, it's the 5th, or is it the 19th? Okay, if it's the 19th, then we still, the 26th, the 22nd, 23rd, and the 30th, and the 7th of November, and the 7th of December are going to be just AEW, Ring of Honor heavy. And it's just going to be that's going to turn a lot of people off. You're sitting here wondering, why did AEW lose a lot of the ratings this year? Why did people start tuning out of AEW more than they were, and they should have been growing? This should have been 2022 should have been the year that AEW exploded and got higher up, maybe 1,500, 1.5 million instead of struggling to get up to 1 million most over the summer. That had to do, of course, with MJF being gone and CM Punk being gone. But and the Elite pretty much ruining all of AEW because it's their show and they're gonna do whatever the fuck they want. They're fucking pathetic. Anyway, but a lot of people stop tuning out because they don't watch AEW for Ring of Honor. They watch AEW for AEW. As soon as a match for a Ring of Honor championship comes on, or people like you have a segment that has to do with Ring of Honor and not AEW, they're changing the channel. That's gonna be like, I know it was a nice little, hero story. Tony Khan bought Ring of Honor. He's gonna save it. He's gonna do what with it, whatever he wants with it. Hopefully he'll get a TV deal. We are 2 months left in the year after this one, 2 months left in the year, and a few days in October left in this year, and we still have Ring of Honor just polluting AEW. And honestly, it feels like when it comes down to it, a lot of the times that ratings should have been up, it went down, is because Ring of Honor is there. Now, Jericho starts flipping out the crowd, but he immediately eats a clothesline, couple of uppercuts from Claudio. Jericho attacks and Garcia drops one, but is dropped by one as well. Yuta then comes in, remains in control. Go back and forth with these four guys go out there. Of course, Jericho came out with Floyd. He was gonna try and play that into the finish while the referee was distracted or down. It doesn't work out. Claudio hits the neutralizer on Jericho, gets the pin and the win, and Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta pick up the win. Obviously, it looks like we could be seeing Castagnoli versus Jericho 2 at possibly Final Battle, but that's another 2 months away, so we got a ways to go for that. Renee Paquette is shown with Bryan Danielson. He admits he's frustrated at losing to Jericho, and that Garcia turned on him, as well as that Yuta talked back to him. He knows people hate Sammy Guevara, but all his frustration is going to be taken out on him. Yuta appeals because we were in the gorilla position. They say the Mongo position, but it's going to be gorilla position because that's what I've been conditioned, if you can say. I'm not going to sit there and go gorilla for WWE and Mongo for AEW. It's gorilla position. Shut the fuck up. Yuta appearing and points out they just won, the two of them, then push around, like yelling at each other. Claudio comes in and is like, stop, no. Danielson, I know you're going to beat up on Sammy Guevara out there. Meanwhile, we're going to take care of this afterwards in our locker. We're going to sit down. We're going to have a chat like adults. Let me see this really weird video package. It's Kenny Omega's voiceover of, like, the night he returned in the post-show video they put up, talking about, like, you heard him talking about what they wanted to do with this company now that he's back. And it's videos of the Elite, but it's like Thanos snapped them out of existence and they are fading away. And then the AEW logo comes out and only the E fades away along with the word Elite. So, I don't know what's going on with this. Obviously, this does mean the Elite are coming back, because you're not going to be like, oh, the Elite are leaving, and we're just going to show a video package saying good night and goodbye, and we're just going to be calling it all wrestling. That'd be fucking stupid. You know how much money it would take for AEW to go become AEW and take all their championships, take the E out, take the Elite name out? It wouldn't be worth the cost. Anybody's like, oh, they're getting rid of the Elite, and they're getting... No. I don't know what this is doing, but we'll have to wait and see. We only saw this once. I thought we would get one teaser in the first hour and another teaser in the second hour, but that didn't come. Jericho appreciates society, but we're having some major sound issues, and it's clear that Jericho says he is fired up and he's going to beat, and he's not just going to be turning his attention to former world champions. He wants to fight them all. Tag champions, pure champions, TV champions, women's champions, which I'm sure that's not going to happen. There's only 3 women's champions in Ring of Honor's history: Roxy, Diana Purrazzo, and Mercedes Martinez. Should be 4, but we're not going to get into that right now. And he has issued an open challenge next week for any former Ring of Honor champion. Who will that be? I don't know. There's a bunch of former Ring of Honor champions on AEW's roster. If Adam Cole's available, he can. Matt Taven and Mike Bennett are there. They could face off against him, even though Matt Taven's got a title match against Wardlow on Friday, so that match was made official tonight. Apparently, the Kingdom have signed long-term deals with AEW, aka it's like they say they signed long-term deals with AEW, but it could be ROH, and they ain't got nothing for that, but we'll see. So, Matt Taven takes on Wardlow on Friday. With Samoa Joe backing him up, we could see either Samoa Joe turning on him, allowing Matt Taven to win the title, or, just Matt Taven becomes another victim. FTR versus Swerve in our Glory #1 contenders match for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. You know what? I could watch this match over and over and over again, and you could book this match once a week, and it would be fucking great. These two teams are great. FTR is great. They will be at Battle Autumn on November 5th in Osaka, Japan. I cannot wait to see who they are facing. Right now, currently, Aussie Open on that card has an open shot, so maybe we'll get Aussie Open versus FTR 2, and that first match was a 5-star. I haven't seen it. I don't like really going back and watching pre-recorded shows like that. Like, if it's a pre-recorded show with the commentary that was there that night, that's one thing, but it's like, if I wanted to watch a pre-recorded show that didn't have commentary done that night, I would watch Dark when they're in Universal. Gun Club showed a ringside. They're still dressing up and making fun of they're still parodying FTR for whatever reason. The Acclaim appear and sit at the top of the ramp. They scissor their chairs. Then the match begins. Swerve and Cash Wheeler take the time as they feel each other out, with Dax coming in and suplexing his opponent down as he follows with a short leg drop. Keith Lee said, man, this guy is not, like, Keith, we should all be jealous, jealous of Keith Lee. Man, this guy just goes out there and just shows you time and time again how good he really is. My goodness. Just doing the jump, like a leap over both members of FTR at the same time. Like, what the fuck? Like, Keith Lee, if Impact Wrestling was if Impact Wrestling would be at the height it was back in 2005, 2006, 2007, Keith Lee been in the X Division, because he would have gave Samoa Joe a run for his money. And those two big boys are going one-on-one for the X Division title back then. Holy shit, that would have been something. Now, obviously, the Swerve Strickland is eventually going to be going heel. He's like this is a very mixed tag team right here, if you know what I mean. Swerve is doing heel things. Keith Lee's being a babyface. Now, that's the Shadow Machine, or the Big Rig on Keith Lee. That looks like it's going to be over. Swerve pulls out Cash and pulls him out, throws him over where the Gun Club is, or the Guns are, not the Gun Club, the Guns, which the referee, of course, doesn't see any of this. And while the referee is back his turn, Swerve Strickland with a low blow to Dax. The Gun Club hold back Cash. Big catastrophe. I don't know what the fuck you're calling it here. 1, 2, 3. And Swerve and Our Glory pick up the win. Swerve and Our Glory wins. Keith Lee does not know what Swerve did. I'm sure he'll find out in the coming, next hour or so. And they'll have something with it on Rampage or next Friday. Or next Wednesday. Guns attack FTR. Swerve, the Acclaim make the save, and that is that. So, Swerve and Our Glory versus the Acclaimed one more time, one last time, and this is where Swerve Strickland will turn on Keith Lee. They can't show with Saraya, but here comes the biggest shithead, the biggest shittiest person in the fucking world. Breaks things up, and they start arguing, and Pat says, listen, if we're going to talk, we're going to do this properly. Shit faker's like, fine, walks away. So apparently we're going to get that sit-down interview next week, in which I'm sure it will be made official. Saraya has to go and do probably the biggest carry job she's had to do in a very long time next at Full Gear, carrying Faker to a respectable match. Renee Paquette is interviewed MJF. Renee is on the entrance and she welcomes MJF, but is cut off. To ask if there was any devil worshippers in the house, he calls her a ravishing Renee, who the disgusting poors would love to lay. She asks what he thinks about wrestling John Moxley, and he decides to get on the microphone. He does his own impression. He's making this guy, and he does his walk, does his mannerisms, does his sayings. I'm saying the only thing that he can think of starts with an M, and it is mid. Says he might have got out of control when he said he'd wrestle the title match completely clean. He says, somewhat clean. I'm still MJF, let's get real. He says something got under his skin, was when the flea-infested William Regal decided to tell him that he didn't use his brass knuckle because he needed to, because he wanted to. He thinks that is alluding to him not being able to beat Moxley without his diamond ring. So he promises he won't use it at Full Gear. Ah, but will he use something else? Let you soak on that till Full Gear. MJF says all he has needed to be a success of the Grudge, and he is full of them. He made this into a big chip. He's taken them all and crunched them all down to a big chip on his shoulder. At Full Gear, he's not fighting Regal, Moxley, or Penta. He's fighting at any scumbag who said he's not good enough. We'll shove that chip down their throats, and anybody who doubted him when. But then he was interrupted by Stokely halfway. He's like, man, I get it. You're saying this, but what you're saying is, in a very condescending way, is like, yeah, we're not going to touch John Moxley between now and Full Gear. I get you. And Hathaway, he slaps the microphone out of Hathaway's hand, and he got more comfortable. He's like, dude, you've gotten really comfortable since you've known me. And for a long time, he says if Mox wins his main event tonight, he needs him at 110%, so they'll have no excuse. He tells Hathaway to not go near him, lay a hand on him, look at him, or else you're fired. This seems to irk Hathaway a bit. He leaves. He gets his on the microphone and goes, "Oh yeah, that's let's say my great catchphrase. My name is Maxwell Jacob Friedman, and I'm better than you, and you know it." Let the crowd finish, and that was that. So, yeah. What is gonna go on with the firm? A little bit of trepidation between these two. Sammy Guevara versus Bryan Danielson. This was, again, let's just put it this way. There wasn't one bad match on this show at all. I'm going to save my voice for that right there. So these guys go back and forth. Danielson, Sammy Guevara is great in the ring. He is super talented. If he could get his maturity level up and actually be a fucking man instead of a child backstage, the dude is going to have himself a long boating career. Apparently he's on 2 strikes in AEW. I don't know what that fucking means, but apparently there's 2 strikes against Sammy Guevara, and he needs to grow the fuck up, as I've said before. Grow the fuck up, Sammy. You are young. Yes, you got a hot wife. Don't give a shit. You need to stop being a shitty person. You have all the talent in the world to be one of the biggest stars in this company. A legend, an AEW legend, by the time your career is all done and over with. But you gotta grow the fuck up and stop being a fucking child. Goes to the GTH, Danielson counters, reverses to Karana. He sets in the corner, and Busaiku knee turns into Guevara inside out. He stomps down on his face, puts the triangle choke in the elbow strikes as Guevara fades away. And the vast majority of AEW fans, Sammy Guevara haters, all the Sammy Guevara haters, let out a great old big cheer that Danielson made this guy pass out. Alex Apahali and Phoenix are shown backstage that they claim Penta will be a double champion tonight. Alex thinks Phoenix should be the next All-Atlantic champion, but Christian Cage and Luchasaurus interrupt. And Cage points out his man beat Jungle Boy, and pointed out that Jungle Boy beat Phoenix, and said if anybody should be the new All-Atlantic champion, it should be Luchasaurus. Orange Cassidy comes in and says, you guys talking about me? Are you talking about this? Next week, let's do this. Another triple threat match between these guys. I guess with him being a champion, I expect to see a bunch of triple threats so he doesn't have to do all the workload of a match. Riho versus Jamie Hayter with her 2 piles of shit. I'm just going to say right now, Rebel's absolutely useless on TV. She could be a great makeup artist, she could be a great whatever backstage, but get her off television. She is absolutely worthless. And you know my feelings at the beginning of the show. Shit Faker needs to be fired, plain and simple. Her insubordination, her unprofessionalism needs to be fucking dealt with. And Tony Khan needs to stop having his head up his favorites' asses and be a fucking boss. That being said, match was great. This is what the women's division could be if you let women like Jamie Hayter and Riho go at it. Of course, Britt the Shit Faker had to get involved a couple times. Didn't make a lick of difference on the finish because Jamie Hayter does hit what we call the Rainmaker, which is the Whipcord Lariat, for the 1, 2, 3 after trying for it 3 times and it didn't work. But eventually hits it, gets the win. Hell of a match. Toni Storm makes her appearance, and my God, was she barely wearing anything. She had a leather bikini top on, leather shorts on. Oh my God, all the incels out there, all the men out there who are single men were probably pitching a tent. holds the title up and is teasing and pointing at Hayter, so it looks like we're going to be getting Jamie Hayter versus Toni Storm at Full Gear. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they put the title on her just to start the breakup between her and that biggest pile of shit. Eddie Kingston is with Renee Paquette, and he says he's wonderful, and he says he's great, though. He's got this forced smile, and he's like forcing this, like, oh, great, it's wonderful, it's wonderful. Let's not talk about me, though. Let's talk about Moxley. He says it's hard to pick who's going to win the match tonight in the main event, but he thinks Mox will take it. Then says everyone else can leave him alone and shows more obviously fake smiles. So, I don't know. They're going down this madman route with Eddie Kingston. I don't know where this is going and how it's going to go, but I'm in for it. Peter Patch shows that Darby Allin explains Sting has been gone because he asked Sting to allow himself to prove his ability alone. He says Jay Lethal should bring his old friend who claims to know his biggest weakness. He says his biggest weakness has been himself. Always has been since the day he was born. And they will have a match next week. Jon Moxley versus Penta Azil Miedo, Pentagon Jr., Penta Obscura, whatever the hell name you want to go with, for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. I wish we would have got Joker, but whatever. Hell of a match here. Of course, this is Penta. This is Jon Moxley. They did bring up the fact that Pentagon Jr. had his mask on the line at Triple Mania a couple weeks ago in the finals of a tournament, which was a really weird tournament because the winner didn't move forward. It was the loser, because the losers would move forward and the final two go one-on-one in a mask versus mask match. Of course, Pentagon Jr. won. Would have been really weird to see him, but it's obviously, when you go into a mask versus mask match, usually, especially when it's one of these type, it's like, one of them is looks old as can be, and the other one looks like he's a little bit, he's younger, so gee, I wonder who's winning. Either way. Hell of a match here. Both guys beat the living pulp out of each other. Penta goes for some super kicks, followed by a dive to the outside of the top rope. Jon Moxley didn't bleed, by the way. This is, I think, the first time Jon Moxley has a match on TV that he doesn't let nobody in the match bled. At least I don't think Penta was bleeding, but yeah. Good for Jon Moxley, not having to bleed all the time. So, match goes back and forth. Penta gets put on top turnbuckle, but slides down and kicks the knee, which leaves Moxley hanging as Penta comes in the diving foot stomp. Hits the fear factor, Moxley just kicks out. Penta goes attacks, but Moxley then drops Penta with a Death Rider, followed by the Death Rider again. The upper Death Rider, 1, 2, 3, and that was that. Jon Moxley retains. Doesn't get to celebrate. I'm like, there's 5 minutes left. What the fuck are they gonna do? Just then, the Firm come in. They all beat the hell out of him. And I'm like, ooh, MJF's not going to be happy about this. I wonder where this leads. Soki Hathaway comes down as well. They beat up him. MJF first comes out and he's like, what the fuck? And he walks away and then he runs down. He gets in there. He pushes everyone. And it's like, Stokely, you're fired. And then he says, something to Jon Moxley. I didn't understand exactly what he said. Something about 6 weeks or so. I don't think it's 6 weeks, is it? No, it's only about 4 weeks. But he said something about 6 something. I don't know if it was the number 6 weeks or 6 or something. Turns around, takes a big boot from Ethan Page. They beat the shit out of him. He gets eaten by an Ego's Edge. Taken to the outside, thrown through a table by William Morrissey. And the show goes off the air with the Firm standing tall. Boos all over the place. And MJF and Jon Moxley laid to waste. Very, very interesting here. A lot of people predicting that William Regal will be turning on the Blackpool Combat Club, and that will lead to MJF and being associated with William Regal. Maybe though, if he turns on the Blackpool Combat Club and joins William Regal, Jon Moxley now, then the Blackpool Combat Club just goes away because there's no reason to have the Blackpool Combat Club anymore if the guy they built the company, the thing for, isn't there anymore. So, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. It's going to make the match at the pay-per-view very interesting. I will, if I do say so myself. That is your AEW on TBS review. Hit that subscribe button. Comment down below. Like or dislike this video. Find me on Minds of the Thoughts Club. Find me on Twitch.tv/TheThoughts Club. And find me on Instagram at The Thoughts Club. And I will see you guys on a Friday for SmackDown. Until then, Minds of the Thoughts. And I'll see you guys later.